I got mugged the last time I was here. The guy only wanted 25 cents for a cup of coffee, but he had very bad breath. Since then, I have been too scared to go back. Now, I had no choice. My self-image was on the line. If you can't make it here, you can't make it anywhere. From the air, the cliché version of New York looks spick and span, the steel unstained, the glass without a crack. The skyscrapers still come up to get you. The Chrysler Building's lace mitre of stainless steel looks factory fresh after more than 60 years. The Empire State Building stands unshaken. When a twin-engine bomber flew into the 79th floor in 1945, the framework only trembled. It didn't twist. But the twin towers of the World Trade Center shivered on their pivots when a terrorist bomb reminded them that there is a less perfect world elsewhere. There is, and it starts right down there at ground level. Beneath New York's soaring glamour lies the sordid reality. Beggars attend to a block. If you drop a quarter into a beggar's coffee cup, you can fool yourself that you've dealt with the problem. But the crazies are harder to shrug off.
Jeremiah 14:2. To the motive and the gates thereof language.
Now, Buick, the Bible says that the true Jews are job
The
equal
important
right.
is the future. What we're gonna do with what
You want to know what the future is, Buick?
And these were only the mild ones, the ones exercising their constitutional right to self-expression by shouting instead of shooting.
You rejected God! You rejected the Holy Spirit! You have profaned my sanctuaries!
This out-in-the-open psychodrama was frightening enough, but back in the alleys and down in the subway, there were maniacs fit to frighten even each other. For them, the pursuit of happiness meant they were happy to pursue me.
Whatsoever a man sows, that's what he's going to reap. Whatsoever a man sows, that's what he's going to reap. This nation,
that one day
this nation has turned its back
stand before
against
the
God.
judgment seat of Christ and give an account for every single sin that you've committed.
Even on the main streets of Midtown, you get a stiff neck from looking over your shoulder. If I was to walk the streets with any feeling of security, I would need protection. On Madison Avenue, there is a shop that sells it.
Hi, I was told you might have a few things to show a nervous man in New York.
A nervous man in New York. We got a lot of things for nervous men in New York. How nervous are you?
Well, yeah, especially in the streets.
You are. One of the latest developments in protecting thyself as well as identifying the person who is about to bother you is what we call the die witness. Now, this little canister has 70 pounds of pressure, which means from a safe distance of about 7 feet, you can arm the device. You simply spray them.
Yeah.
What's going to happen is that.
He ends up looking like that?
This is like shaving cream. It'll begin to irritate both the nose and the eyes, and it will swell on the person's face. As the person begins to wipe away with their hands, it'll get on their clothes, their hands, and for the next 7 days, that green dye is going to remain on their face so that we here can identify. These are the other things. You're walking down that dark alley, and all of a sudden, you hear some footsteps. Thanks to these dark glasses, you're able to see out.
Ah, they got mirrors built in.
There you go.
That's very, very good.
Give you an idea who's coming up behind you.
I'm starting to feel better about life. I'm starting to consider these. I think they're very handy because I get worried about who's behind me in New York.
One last product that just came to mind, very, very important for a person like yourself, does a lot of traveling, is body armor. Ballistic material to protect you against these stray bullets that might wander through the streets here in Manhattan. Let me show you. Right through the door.
If there was any way of stopping bullets short of being dipped in molten steel, I was certainly interested.
This happens to be a police vest. This happens to be a vest that you would wear in order to protect yourself from bullets. And you would simply put this on by removing Velcro straps. And what this does is going to give you a level of protection up to a 9mm weapon. It's what we call level 2A.
Take this off
Take
first,
off your coat
Yeah.
for sure, huh?
Level 2A, huh?
Level 2A. Okay. You can feel the body weight. It's really about 7 or 8 pounds total weight. It's much It's lighter than a coffin.
Yeah,
It's a lot less expensive for this type of protection.
That in the coffin was still pretty... Do that again? Hell's bells. That does feel solid. Yeah. Stop 9mm bullet. That's a big
Right
bullet.
away.
45,
Yeah.
huh?
Level 2A protection.
Okay. Just put my jacket on over the top of that?
Clive. No. You're in New York. You're traveling down the street. You got those see-behind glasses. You got your die witness ready to go. We don't want to wake them up by letting them know you're wearing this vest. You got to put it under the shirt. Let me give you a fitting room. We don't want to let them all know. Remember, low profile.
Oh.
With a low profile and a fistful of instant retaliation, I felt safe from attack by anything short of a fighter bomber. There was only one problem. The level 2A vest wasn't all that heavy, but the level 3B underpants were. So I got a refund and arranged a house call from a cop who rents herself out as one of the female bodyguards currently doing better than the males because they have a lower profile. She had personally bodyguarded Robert De Niro during a difficult time in his life when he was being threatened by a page of dialogue with some long words in it. She was Eileen Jambroni from Brooklyn.
Last time I was here, I got mugged slightly. Not a lot, a guy got some money off me. What tips would you give me to ward off these interlopers?
I wouldn't walk the streets alone at night by myself. I'd always have someone with me. More or less walking on the busy side of the day, working hours or something like that. At night by yourself, you're more being a victim out there. Because the good people are in at night most of the time. The bad ones are out there on the prowl.
It would help me to have a gun, but I can't carry one.
Right.
So I get you. Are you wearing a gun right now?
Yes, I am.
Can you show it to me?
Sure.
How fast can you get out of there?
In about a second.
Where do you keep your spare ammunition?
In my pouch.
Can I see that?
These were the sort of bullets I wanted to hear going back the other way if anyone shot at me.
They're heavy.
Yeah, but you don't throw them at people.
You're a kind of deadly kangaroo, aren't you? Dirty Harriet.
With Eileen beside me, I felt brave enough to go down into the famously dangerous subway, which I had always promised myself to see one day, but had never actually penetrated, owing to a medical condition known as cowardice. Some of the people down in the subway probably had bigger guns than she did, but at least she could fight a rearguard action while I fled. There is nothing basically wrong with the New York subway system as such. The trains run on time. It's the people who break down. Any thief, sex pest, or paranoid schizophrenic prematurely returned to the community is allowed to ride it for $1.25.
Don't step forward beyond the orange line.
The orange line?
Yeah.
Why not?
Because that's getting too close to the edge and someone could push you over. The best thing you can do is stay back in the middle.
People push people over?
Yeah.
The best way of staying this side of the subway's orange line is to ride in a yellow cab. But as long as the heavily armed Eileen was around, I was ready to carry on.
Yeah, and also try not to make eye contact with anybody. The best thing to do is just keep your head down and don't look at anybody. Because then they'll say, what are you looking at? They'll just start a reason to pick a fight with you.
Yeah. And I'll say, I'm with a cop, right? Where should you sit? Is there a safe place to sit?
Yeah, never sit by the door.
Never sit by
Don't
the...
sit at the first seat by the door.
No. Why's that?
Because anybody getting off the train can grab you and just keep going and the doors will close.
All right. You take your handbag or something? Yeah.
Right.
Okay, we don't sit by the door. We don't sit by the door. We avoid eye contact.
Right.
I just made eye contact with a little baby in the foot. Hey, we gotta get on?
Trying to avoid eye contact, I checked up on my fellow passengers with a sideways glance. It was the middle of the day, so most of them were respectable. Some of them didn't look it, but in New York, anyone who isn't dressed up to go out is dressed down to look dangerous, just for safety. Dark glasses are a good sign because they make eye contact difficult.
You really should watch when the train is really crowded. Right now it's not that bad. But when a train is really, really crowded, you'll have people that do this for a living. They walk up behind you and slice your pocket and let your wallet fall out, and then they'll just take your wallet. They do that with women's pocketbooks too.
And Will I feel it?
No, they're very good. Using a razor blade, you would never feel them slice your pocket.
Suppose I did spot that the guy got my wallet. What should I do?
I would probably let him have your wallet if I were you. It's not worth getting yourself killed over.
I wanted Eileen to stay near me forever, but her schedule was so busy, she said she'd meet me in Central Park in a week's time, and if I was still alive and felt the need for a bodyguard, she'd see what she could do. For now, she made me get off where I'd see a friendly face.
She's not a statue, she's a lady.
You reckon? How can you tell?
How can I tell? I can tell by the eyes.
Yeah? You might be right, kid.
I was down in arty, crafty, and theoretically cozy Greenwich Village, but there was still something unsettling about the individual's desire to realize his full creative potential. They were still auditioning for a show they were already in, with each other as the only audience. Everyone was in on the act. This part of New York is one of the best places in the world to see life. Yet sudden death is only a block away in each direction. So I stuck with people who looked reasonably sane for the rest of the afternoon. When night fell, my date showed up. He was an expert on New York's lowlife and how to avoid getting wiped out by it. I wanted to hear everything he had to say.
I mean, you can basically come down here with a spike through your head and people would try to buy the hat that you have on. It's really wild.
Richard Price was raised in the Bronx and is now one of the most sought-after screenwriters in Hollywood. So why is he still here? I took him for a drink to find out.
Manhattan's not really a city, and it's not in America. It's like an international duty-free zone of like human behavior and madness and culture and violence and passion. It's an international airport. It's like Zanzibar. I don't even know where Zanzibar is, but it's like Zanzibar. It's nothing to do with America.
You see a lot of very weird stuff on the streets around here. Do you become less shockable?
I don't care. I can't remember the last time anything shocked me that wasn't electric. I remember last week there was a guy walking down the street in a village wearing hot pants, construction boots, and he had a 20-foot snake wrapped around his shoulders, and nobody was turning around. And finally somebody turned around and said, "Could you believe those hot pants?" I mean, you know, it's...
You become more desensitized about things like poverty and drugs when you see it on your doorstep every day.
You get used to seeing it, just like you get used to seeing blood if you work in a hospital. It's where you are, and it's kind of like timeless and medieval. You know, it's like the poor will always be with us, and it's a part of an urban etiquette. I mean, how much money do you pass out to get from your grocery store to your home? I mean, how many coffee cups do you drop change in? I mean, which guys do you really have to pay off, and which guys do you ignore? I mean, can you explain to the third guy that you gave to the two guys down the block? It's painful. It's painful for everybody in some way. I will say that people get so used to seeing guys on corners with coffee cups that about a month ago, there was a guy standing outside a cash machine in a bank. He wasn't dressed very well, and he had a coffee cup. And I saw somebody pass him and take some change and toss it in, and coffee splashed up. The guy went, "Hey," you know, and the look on this guy's face looked like somebody hit him in the back of the head with a bag of nickels.
Is crime getting worse in New York?
Statistically, it's maybe it's like 2% better, but you know, it's at such a high level. I mean, there's 2,000 plus homicides a year. So, oh, great, you know, we're 2,025 murders. Last year we were 2,050. You know, well, it's great for the 25 that should have gotten killed that didn't. You know, but other.
Is America afraid of New York?
Yeah, it's fear of the unknown. It's fear of the dark races. It's fear of people that are going to make you feel stupid. It's a fear of abstract art. It's a fear of like anarchy, of amorality, and they're right. You know, at the same time, I just can't imagine living anywhere else. I go out of my mind.
But how did he know he wasn't out of his mind already? That was the question that was scaring me to death. If New York started striking me as normal, would that mean that I had flipped my lid? Luckily, my last stop of the night would be a soothing encounter with the young poets of New York. The recent poetry boom has spawned thousands of them. The more prominent poets gather at a deep downtown venue called Jackie 60 to read out their latest creations. I look forward to the familiar poetry reading atmosphere of a quietly concentrating audience and the shy voice of private inspiration.
Hey! Keep your mouth off my sisters. Your words cause emotional blisters. Did something happen at birth that caused this malfunction? Or did they learn it or earn it in some archaic male ritual like the medals of war? 30 years of homo spotting and I still can't tell who's a friend of Dorothy's. Thank you.
I was a young poet myself once, but at my first public reading in a Sydney coffee shop, the most expressive member of the audience had been the espresso machine. This wasn't like that.
The stupid jerk I'm obsessed with stands so close to me that I can feel his breath on my neck and smell the way he would smell if we slept together, because he is the stupid jerk I'm obsessed with. And that is his primary function in life. He makes a point of standing, looking over my shoulder when I'm talking to the guy who adores me and would bark like a dog and wave to strangers. But I can't ask him to bark like a dog or wave to anyone at all, because I'm too busy looking at the way the stupid jerk I'm obsessed with has pants on that perfectly define his well-shaped ass. He's a stupid jerk I'm obsessed with, and he's mine in my plaster, and frankly, I couldn't be happier. Thanks.
I had heard the poetry of New York, and it didn't rhyme. Next morning, I woke up in the grip of paranoia after a bad dream about a man with a green face who put a gun to my head and made me listen to his poems. What made so many people so angry? Was it the wealth of the few? I went to see wealth in action on the Upper East Side. For about 30 blocks north and south and 4 or 5 west to east, it's a high-rent compound for the affluent, sealed off by invisible walls from unaffluent Harlem just a few blocks to the north. Everybody here is scared of Harlem because most of the people in Harlem are scared of Harlem. But here, you can pretend that there is no such thing as urban deprivation. In a city of areas variously famous for everything from matzo balls to murder, this is the one famous for money. At the weekend, the well-heeled New Yorkers are all out of town on their country estates, but from Monday to Friday they're here in residence to prove just how elegant they can be. There wouldn't be any point asking where women like this got their exquisitely judged manicures. Their hands grow like that. It's a quietly convincing display of untroubled comfort. The fear doesn't show, but it's there, even here. The dogs being walked by the professional dog walkers belong to apartment dwellers who keep plenty of noise-making apparatus to ward off burglars. And these decorative dogs are just for barking. Up in the apartment blocks are guard dogs too big to go walking. They just wait in the hallway to take a visitor's hat and his head along with it. On my way to see the most talked about of all New York's high society women, I faced the prospect of being torn limb from limb. From New York's most exalted hostess, an invitation is a signal that you're on your way up, and the lack of it, that you're on your way out. I was shown into a drawing room where the only drawing that wasn't by Matisse was a preliminary sketch by Picasso. A woman who could hang her wealth on the walls instead of stashing it in the vault of one of her husband's banks must have awesome power. Nan Kempner didn't look powerful. She looked like a preliminary sketch. But as we entered the library for a pre-lunch tete-a-tete, I was ready to be floored by a display of self-assurance and invulnerability.
Two gentlemen rang the doorbell on a Thursday afternoon, and I answered the doorbell, And they came in, one had a gun and one had a knife, and they said, one sound and we kill you. And I said, well, if you don't touch me, I won't make a sound. And they said, lady, we're not interested in you. We're only interested in your jewelry and your money. So I took them upstairs and gave them my jewelry and my money. And they left. I thought that I'd be perfectly safe because this building is very well secured. And I knew the rules of the building, but apparently I knew the rules, but the elevator men didn't. So they got out and they got away with it. And it does make life much simpler if you don't have any jewelry, you don't have any decisions.
How would you describe a typical day in the life of Nan Kempner?
I'm very much a lady who lunches. I run and meet all my friends for lunch, and we have a lovely time. We go to various restaurants. Or I have my friends here for lunch. Crazy about lunch. It's my favorite meal.
And what do you talk about?
Well, it depends. If it's a ladies' lunch, the conversation usually verges on facelifts. And we talk about trips, we talk about books we've read, we talk about the theater, we talk about a particularly good exhibition of paintings that happens to be on. I think we talk about the same thing that anybody in any other city talks about, except that, as in London, in New York, we have so much at our fingertips.
What do you like about New York?
I adore waking up every morning and knowing I'm going to hear a marvelous piece of music, see a fabulous painting, meet somebody wonderful. Every day in New York City is exciting, and if it isn't, there's something wrong with you.
What do you dislike about New York?
There's not much that I dislike, except perhaps lack of manners in a great many people. I find when I tip my taxi driver and he doesn't thank you, it irritates me. If I do go to a store and there's nobody there to wait on me, I leave because I'm irritated. I mean, there are irritants.
Do you ever feel there's a gulf between rich and poor in Manhattan that just can't be bridged?
Darling, isn't there a big gulf between the rich and the poor in every country in the world? What upsets me now is that you see so many more of the homeless on the street. I'm accosted by 3, 4, 5 beggars almost on every block. Sometimes they're so pathetic that I have to give to the beggars, and I don't want to because I do give so much to organized charity, and I figure that everybody has a better chance of getting something from the organized charity than if I give 25 cents to $1 to a beggar. However, the other day, this poor man came up to me and he looked so pathetic, and I thought to myself, oh, I have to give him something, and I reached into my purse because the man said, I'm so hungry, and he was so thin. Then he looked me up and down and he said, you better keep it, lady, you need to eat more than I do.
The other guests began to arrive, concealing their relief at having made it. Nan's apartment was a haven, but everyone present was aware that there was a war going on outside.
I happen to live at 93rd and Park. I've lived there my entire life, and it wouldn't occur to me to go above 93rd.
Oh, I see.
That's far enough.
I mean, I live at the hem of Harlem. We'll keep it like that. Because I just...
New York's terrifying problems can be shut out by the rich, but can't be solved by them. They don't control the city. Nobody does. It's a runaway.
Come on, lunch is served. Let's go.
Camelia's going to put your seaweed solution on now, and she'll start with your back.
Ah, it's hot.
The skin is an eliminative organ like the large intestine and the lungs, so it's very important to help it cleanse.
One of Nan's lunch guests kindly suggested that great things could be done even for me by Susan Ciminelli, who dedicates herself to keeping New York's A-list beautiful and rescuing them from the ravages of stress.
What is it?
Seaweed.
Any old seaweed?
No. It's a particular type of seaweed that helps to detox the body that grows in Brittany, France. It's called Laminaria digitata.
Laminaria digitata?
Right. Sounds Italian, doesn't it?
It sounds impressive.
I couldn't see what she and her girl assistant were smearing on me, but it felt like whatever they did to Lennon before they put him on permanent display.
You get regular customers then? People come in all the time?
We have people coming in 1 to 2 times a week for this. We also have a lot of top models who come in very often for this before they do lingerie and bathing suit work.
I had thought that my own lingerie modeling days were over, but I was already feeling that I might give it another try.
Okay, turn on your back.
Oh, okay. I haven't actually seen this stuff yet.
Don't look.
They slapped on more seaweed until I acquired the appearance, as well as the temperature, of garlic bread. The resemblance was increased by the next step in the sequence.
Okay, you can just fold the mylar over him. Now, do you want to stretch your arms out a little bit to feel more comfortable?
Well, I can't. I'm sort of wrapped up like a baguette.
Well, stretch them out a little more, because it doesn't need to be tight
All
on
right.
you.
Won't it sort of make me fatter, getting all this oil into my skin?
Oh, no. You're getting minerals into your skin, not oil. It's actually taking the water out of the fat cells, which will shrink the fat cells down.
You mean people get thinner?
They do. But then you can't go out and eat a hot fudge sundae or...
Oh.
You have to be good when you leave, so you don't put it right back. Okay, put the towel over him, please. And I'm going to put a crystal layout on you now.
Crystal layout?
Yes, which is a very ancient method of relaxation for you.
How does it work?
Crystals have a vibration, and so do we. And there's a correct vibration or a frequency that we need to vibrate at. And when you have a dis-ease in your energy flow, that's when disease will set into your body. It takes 20 years for a disease to be picked up by Western medicine, but with a dis-ease being corrected all the time, you have a constant flow of energy. And where there is light, which is energy, there's no disease. The two can't exist. Where there is light, there's obviously no darkness. So where there's energy, there's no room for that dis-ease or disease.
Yeah, I think I get it.
Can you just put these up on the top of his groin? A little lower. Those crystals will absorb the negative energy from your groin.
Well, that always has been a problem.
This should have been the final wrap-up, but Susan wasn't finished. Where there is light, there is no darkness. And where there is dis-ease, dis-ease takes time to accomplish.
Okay, now I'm going to use a very strong cleanser on you that will help to remove your blackhead buildup because the soap solidifies in your pores.
So how do I keep my skin clean if I don't use soap?
You can use gel cleansers. They rinse cleaner than soap. But as importantly as what you use externally is what you put into your system. So you have to be careful to really limit your intake of meat and dairy and white flour.
Meat, dairy, white flour, what does that leave?
Rice and beans and fish.
Beans and rice?
Yes.
Oh, great.
They're very cleansing. I'm going to put the last of your crystals on.
Where do the last of the crystals go? I'm covered in crystals.
Well, you have 3 crystals that go on what's called your third eye, which is right at your forehead, so close your eyes. I'm going to leave you now for about 15 minutes, okay?
Okay.
So you just rest.
Susan was right. I felt great. In the next 15 minutes, I lost 5 pounds in a hot sweat and developed a deep affection for Laminaria digitata. There was only one catch. I was hungry. I had a raging urge to eat everything she said I shouldn't, and the place to get that was Sammy's, a downtown Jewish eatery where calories are counted only in thousands.
You don't mind, we're a little busy tonight. Every table will be taken. Since you are here for the first time, I'm going to put you at a table with some New Yorkers. Is that all right? You'll have a ball. What a blast. Come on down. You introduce yourself.
Without Sammy, Sammy's would be just another vegetarian's nightmare with a noise level to match its cholesterol rating.
One seat at Sammy's 4 days in a row. You can go to London without a plane.
With Sammy, Sammy's is an all-star spectacular. Sammy ropes every customer into the act.
What's that? This is our chopped liver.
He doesn't want you to eat your fill. He wants you to eat more than your fill. He wants you to eat until you drop.
What schmaltz? Schmaltz salad. Chicken fat.
At the very idea that you might be leaving on a stretcher, Sammy drinks a triple beer toast to his own genius. Every dish has been personally vetted by Sammy.
Here we have some velvety sliced brains.
If there is no danger that it will give you a heart attack, it isn't served.
What kind of brains are they?
The steaks are bigger than the original animal.
Who ordered the small Romanian tenderloin?
This is the small Romanian tenderloin.
Small steak.
Small steak.
The small steak.
Famous for
that station.
I've had a little chopped liver. Mixed with great sauce.
I haven't quite finished this. Long before the eating is over, the singing and dancing have begun. Sammy himself is never not performing, although some of his friends told me that they were worried he had gone so quiet lately. They just couldn't understand why he had let me finish the first square yard of my steak without forcing me to join him for his famous duet from Fiddler on the Roof. In a single carnivorous evening, I had restored my lost 5 pounds and added an extra 7. I left with the guilty feeling that my dis-ease was back where it belonged. Every morning, New York's fitness fanatics are up early and jogging around the reservoir. I joined them because I had to do something about my post-Sammy's problem, and I couldn't afford any more of Susan's seaweed. The story goes that everybody jogs anti-clockwise around the reservoir except Jackie Onassis, who jogs clockwise to avoid publicity. I didn't run into her, but everybody else ran past me. Finally, I got sick of being overtaken, or maybe I just got sick. If I hadn't stopped, she would have overtaken me too. Feeling slightly queasy put me in the right mood for the biennial exhibition of modern art at the Whitney Museum. New York devoutly believes in its own status as the world capital of art, but here again there is evidence of violence, or anyway of violent illness. The guide tape in my earphones told me that the pool of vomit on the floor was a reaction to urban life in general, and not necessarily a specific response to eating a block-long steak while listening to a Topol impersonator. New York was where the great discovery was made that anything can be a work of art, and therefore everyone is an artist. With the aid of the guide tape, I now realize that I myself, as a child, had been an artist when I nibbled the corner off a block of chocolate. It was just that this woman was a greater artist because she had nibbled the corner off a bigger block of chocolate and thus dramatized the futility of a consumer society. In the next exhibit, the tape told me that the suspended tongues represented the unspoken anguish of women in pain. It only sounded like a room full of people who had been trapped all night in the Whitney Museum. The highlight of the exhibition was an unsettling challenge to one's preconceptions about art. At first, it looked like a dozen bundles of old newspapers. But when the tape told me to take a step back and look again, the result was a revelation. It was a dozen bundles of old newspapers. The really important modern artists in New York don't have to exhibit because they are exhibits. On the other side of the city, I climbed an apartment block to meet one. Though her claims to her title sound conjectural, nobody disputes the Baroness Sherry's status as New York nightlife's leading raver. Although no longer precisely in her first youth, she's up until dawn every night getting herself photographed with the celebrities. Not a few of the celebrities, all of the celebrities. It's a new kind of hunting, in which the hunter gets shot along with the prey. As the Austro-Hungarian emperors once lined up the antlers of slain herds, she mounts her snaps in her trophy rooms.
There are more, many, many more. Another room, and some that have not been put in frames yet.
And all the stars with you. You're in every shot.
Of course. That's the best part.
This is you and Liz Taylor?
Yes. We met at a benefit. She was fascinated talking. But she was so exquisite, I couldn't take my eyes off her. Just beautiful. She was much heavier, of course, but the beauty was still, you could see part of it.
Because here's Michael Jackson. She's Michael Jackson's mother now,
That's
really.
right, he's right below her now. I was so excited when I met him. I was so overwhelmed that the words that I wanted to say to him, I was tongue-tied. Absolutely. I mean, how often do you meet someone that's bigger than life? He was with his bodyguard, who you can see on the picture. You can't see his head. He was so big. And he was pushing everyone away, and Michael went like that.
He pointed to you.
To me.
Yeah.
You know, the token person for the picture. So, I mean, I was like weak in the knees. He was charming. He was delightful.
And there,
nice.
I can see you here with Sylvester Stallone. Right?
Well...
Actually, you know, he must be standing on the box, because I saw him.
He's not that tall.
He's not much taller than you.
No, he's not. He might have been standing on something. He was very well, good muscles.
Good muscles, huh?
But I think he's as articulate in person as he is in the film, so I don't have much more to say, you know. He looked a little stunned.
He does look stunned.
He looks a little stunned.
I've often thought he looks like that all the time, actually. You know, he's stunned by his life and what's happened to him.
I would say so. I would say.
Now, here's someone I know. That's Ivana Trump, right? Is that Ivana Trump?
Oh, yes.
But she looks different.
This was Ivana when she was married to Donald. And she was a very nice lady, but very matronly, mature. Yeah. You know, a woman.
Yes.
And today...
She's younger than that now. Eh?
She's like a daughter.
Yeah.
She's gorgeous. Absolutely magnificent.
How did it happen?
I was out dancing with a facelift, of course. But I'd love to know who did it, because she's exquisite now.
She calls Donald Trump the Donald,
The Donald, yes.
Is that you and the Donald there?
Oh, the Donald and Marla.
Oh,
yes.
that's Marla.
That's Marla. Ivana was starting to look very much like Marla.
Yeah, isn't that miraculous?
Isn't it? Well, I wonder when the doctor had a picture of Marla when he did Ivana.
Well, it's just amazing, and there you are with all that. We're looking actually at thousands and thousands of nights, because this happens at night.
Night.
So
and
you're
so
really...
many events and so much fun.
Yeah.
And a lot of people.
The Baroness told me that if I played my cards right, I could end up on her wall too, but I would have to do something about my attitude. She said there were places out there in New York's clubland that she could never get me into because I was too square.
Well, the place where everything is happening, if anything is happening, is USA. That's a must.
Club USA.
Yes, that's the place.
Can I wear this suit?
Well, it's a very nice suit, but I think you should wear something more adventuresome, something a little special, because everybody will look at you as you walk in with me, because everybody knows me, and I want you to look your best.
Having made a date to go clubbing as soon as I could find a suitably adventuresome and special outfit, I forgot to be afraid as I headed off on foot for my next appointment. Spotting Ivana Trump among the Baroness's trophies had given me an idea. In her latest incarnation as a successful businesswoman and best-selling authorine, she might not be averse to exposure. So I called her up, and guess what? She said, come on over. That's the great secret of New York. You have to take a chance. Ivana had once done the same. In a city of immigrants, none had come further to be here than her. She came all the way from Czechoslovakia to meet the man who had spent the 80s building a multi-billion-dollar real estate empire. In the 90s, he was in hock for the same amount, but his masterpiece was still there, the Trump Tower on Fifth Avenue. Trump Tower is the complete expression of its creator's personality, but there's no reason to dismiss it just on that account. New York has always given free play to the kind of man who isn't afraid to show what really thrills him. On his way up, Trump was really thrilled at the idea of building an urban palace which would rival the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, the Baths of Caracalla, Grand Central Station, and a moon rocket assembly shop refitted as a fast food outlet. At the top of the building, his vision reached a climax, like a fever.
Hello. Is she in?
Yes, come in.
Inspired by Ivana, his then-wife, Trump built a vast state apartment of a luxury unknown since Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette had jointly sat around waiting for the French Revolution. But Donald had moved on, leaving Ivana in residence until she could make alternative arrangements. I knew she was in there somewhere, but I had to search for a while until I found her sitting about a block away.
First of all, you've got business associates now. Do they try and change your image?
Well, you know, sometimes they say, Ivana, how about on the back of your book, why you don't have a business suit or sporty look, jeans and T-shirt and all that? And I said, you know, I know what the people expect from me. The people, my fans, they want me dressed up in the beautiful gown and elegant and sophisticated and all. They don't want me in the jeans. So I know what is the certain image which I have there, and you have to play into a certain point into it. And so this is what I'll do. I just try to stick what I think it's right for me.
You're in the press a lot. Do you like that?
Once you are a public person, unless you go to Australia, put your head in the sand and stay there for 10 years, maybe the people forget. But if they know you, they follow you, and if you achieve certain things, they always go and they always will be interested what you are up to or what you're doing. So you really don't have much of the choice.
You're spending less time in New York now and more in London. Why is that?
New York for me, it's a career and the work. And of course, I'm raising my 3 children here and they go to school. Europe for me is quality of life and just getting my strengths back and seeing my family and seeing my friends. So I can go to New York and I stay here for a while and I work very hard. And then I just run. When I go into the point that it is just getting crazy, I just run to Europe.
New York is very, very tough and dangerous. Do you ever ride the subway?
I actually do sometime, and it usually if I go for tennis matches, or if I go, for example, to Madison Square Garden. I know that I was caught in an incredible storm, and all of my friends were struggling in their limousines to get there. I took the subway. It was the best and fastest, the safest way to get there. So you have to use your judgment.
Suppose someone did threaten you with a mugging. Are you brave?
I have a master's from the Charles University in Prague, and I did judo and I did karate. So, you know, I know a little bit about it. I'm not saying that I will win, but I would give it a fight, definitely.
Reflecting that if Ivana could do it, I could do it, I resolved to chop down the next mugger I met with my deadly hands and strangle him with my black belt. Days had gone by, and I hadn't been killed even once. I was feeling much more confident. A week was up since Eileen Jambroni had cut me loose without a gun. But when I met her again in Central Park, I told her to take me off her waiting list. She said that she had never put me on it. She'd always known that I'd be safe. Even Central Park was safe, as long as you stayed out of it at night and remembered to say thank you if you got mugged during the day. There are thousands of dangerous people in New York, but only because there are millions of dreamers. They are all flat out being themselves. They even relax flat out. What they threaten you with is the variety of life. There isn't that much physical danger. With a fair share of luck, a low enough profile, and the odd patch of level 2A protection in vital areas, you probably won't get hurt. As in most other territories of New York, except the out-and-out war zones, the real danger in Central Park is psychological. It's the constant New York temptation to turn yourself into someone more dazzling, more creative, more daring. You don't just dream of what you might have been. You make the potentially embarrassing mistake of trying to do something about it. It was my night to go clubbing with the Baroness. I was ready to conquer my last fear, the fear of my inner self. Somewhere out there under the late lights, liberty was waiting for me. In the smaller of the Baroness's 2 cars, we were driven to Club USA by her assistant chauffeur, a one-time pretender to the throne of Upper Lowenstein, now on permanent standby to transport the Baroness from one late-night wing-a-ding of the moment to the next. I would be arriving at Club USA with the right woman on my arm. I would have felt out of place without the right outfit on my back, so I dressed to express the essential me.
is that? Oh my god, I don't know whether I can let that in or not. Baroness?
But he's with me.
Oh, for you.
Thank you.
Oh, welcome.
Thank you.
Whew, that was scary.
Inside Club USA, it sounded like The Last Judgment, updated to include laser gun battles and outtakes from Total Recall. This must be the place where the crazies on the streets came to dance the night away after a hard day of terrifying their fellow citizens. Digging down 30 years to the time when my dancing was a legend on 2 continents, I came up with the hippie hippie shake. But the generation born since seemed to have moved on to other things. The Baroness had been keeping up with New York. She had the kind of energy I used to have before my diseases caught up with me. She was trying to tell me something through the pulse of 1,000 decibels. She was suggesting a ride on the giant slide that leads from the bar upstairs to the writhing dance floor below. I sincerely hoped this was going to be the last athletic feat of the evening. It was amazing how she got to the top of the giant slide ahead of me. Even more amazing was how she got to the bottom of it ahead of me. This woman was a phenomenon, and I wasn't. I tried to indicate to her that I had reached the end of my strength. She said there were 6 more clubs to go, but if I wanted to walk home in that outfit, I was welcome to try, although she wouldn't recommend it. After she dropped me off at my hotel, I changed into a suit and went to Times Square. The heart of the theater district is a theater in itself. It's a light show that stays open until dawn, a parade ground for insomniacs and people who would like not to be but have nowhere to lie down. It was the right place to kiss my hopes goodbye of ever fitting into a city where everyone is on stage all the time. I wasn't afraid anymore, but I was exhausted. They had worn me out. They had too much energy. Him, for instance. What brand of Laminaria digitata was he on? There are people in New York who do wonderful things. There are other people in New York who do things too terrible to think about. Anybody who lives there can turn into either kind, and you can't have one without the other. Shining because of its decay, ablaze with its consuming fires, a multiple injection of phosphorescent amphetamines into a sky sick with brilliance. New York is the world's most stunning proof that where there is light, there is always darkness. And it's because the darkness runs so deep, it burns so bright.